Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy. I do sex education videos on this channel, so you learn things. It's great to stick around. And this week I want to talk about things which people want to learn. When it comes to sex and things around sex, people often ask, is this normal? They've seen things on the telly or in movies, or they've heard stuff from their friends, or they've read stuff on the internet, in newspapers, and they want to know, is it normal? Is what I'm doing normal? Is my experience actually something that other people have? So here's some questions that people often ask, and I'm going to give you some answers. So first up, is it normal to masturbate? Well, of course it is. Masturbation is really healthy, actually. Not only does it give you a good idea about your own sexual preferences and pleasures, it's also really good for your pelvic floor. It builds up muscles. It releases cortisone, it releases endorphins. That is very much true. And both of those make you feel happier. And it's perfectly normal to do it every single day. It's also normal, though, not to do it. It's not a problem if you don't. There are indeed advantages, as I've laid out, but it's not a problem if you don't. It doesn't mean you're weird or not up to the task of being a sexual partner or anything like that. You don't have to masturbate. You don't have to want to masturbate. And this leads on very well to the next question, which is it normal to orgasm quickly or orgasm not at all? Both of those, the answer is yes. There's different strokes for different folks. Yes, that was an intended pun. For some people, you have a very high sexual accelerator and you can orgasm within 20 or 30 seconds. It can take longer for people with vulvas than it does for people with penises, and it often does. But that doesn't mean that people with vulvas can't orgasm quickly. A lot of people with vulvas do. A lot of people use techniques to purposely prevent orgasm. It's called edging. So you get stimulated, you're masturbating, or you're having stimulation from somewhere else, like your partner. And before you get to orgasm, while you're feeling you're just about to get there, that stimulation is withdrawn and you don't orgasm. Maybe in the same session, maybe across multiple sessions, days, weeks, or even months. And it's used to heighten the pleasure when you do orgasm. So you might edge 2, 3, 4 times, and then you get to climax when you actually stimulate and go over the edge. And it's said to make that climax all the better. Is it normal to not get pregnant after sex, after penis and vagina sex in particular? And the answer to that is yes. It's very much normal not to get pregnant. If you have unprotected sex, is actually a 0 to 12% chance of getting pregnant. And that is very much dependent on when the person with the womb is in their menstrual cycle. So if it's shortly after ovulation, then yes, it's the higher end of that, up to about 12%. And if you are the other side, or if you're about 10 days before ovulation, then there's technically a 0% chance because the sperm will die before you ovulate. But the thing is, you don't know when you're going to ovulate. So it's not, you can have a good guess, it's when you usually ovulate, but it's not known. So there is always a slight chance. Obviously, there are other factors, including the sperm count of the person with the penis, environmental factors, whether you are on the pill or have recently come off the pill. Of course, you might have emergency contraception, you might have an emergency IUD put in. All these things mean, of course, that your likelihood of getting pregnant lowers. But the point is that the vast majority of the time, normal penis and vagina sex will not result in a pregnancy. So don't worry if you've been trying for ages, you're not necessarily infertile, either you or your partner. Is it normal to have sex with the lights off? Well, actually, yes. There's obviously a lot of stigma around people switching the lights off because they don't want to be seen during sex. You know, they think that their body isn't something of a turn on. And this is especially true for women. They think that their male partners will be turned off if they have the lights on during sex. Now I can say that is a load of nonsense. The vast majority of men will not be turned off by the fact that you think your body isn't as good as, I don't know, Jennifer Lawrence or something like that. Yes, of course I fancy Jennifer Lawrence. But actually there's lots of other reasons why you might want to have the lights off during sex. Yes, confidence, there's one of them, but also mood. You know, it's not necessarily, depending on the lighting you have in the room, you can't have all the lights on. It may not be a very good mood to have sex. So often you might dim the lighting, have lower level lighting, but having the lights off may be a lot better than a blazing array of lights beaming on you. It might be for sensory reasons, i.e. because you can't see, your other senses are heightened. Your touch, smell, that kind of thing can be really exhilarating for people during sex. There are lots of turn-ons, not just the lights. Or it might be for privacy reasons. Maybe you're in a place where if you have the lights on, lots of people could see you. It may be that you don't have curtains in the room, for example, or you might be in a hostel. Believe me, I've been in hostels before where sex has definitely been happening in a couple of beds down. If the lights are on, of course, everybody would be able to see them, and that wouldn't be quite so fun, would it? Or maybe it would. Maybe they like that kind of thing. Who knows? Is it normal to not want to have sex? Yes. Yes, it absolutely is. Whether that be you're not in the mood, or you might not want to have sex, period. You might be what is called asexual or demisexual. Some people call it grey sexual. There's lots of different terms. It means that you don't have the sexual attraction that other people do. If you're asexual, that means that you don't actually have any sexual attraction. That doesn't mean you don't have sex, but maybe you're not as interested or interested at all in having sex. And that is absolutely fine, it's completely normal. Is it normal to find sex painful? Well, it's not unusual. In that respect, it is normal, right? Because otherwise you'd be the only person that, if you were finding sex uncomfortable, painful, even excruciating, if you were the only person that found that, yeah, it wouldn't be normal, right? But many people, particularly people with vulvas, but also people with penises, they find sex very painful indeed. But the good news is there's a lot of things you can do about it. The first one is lube. Most painful sex is caused by friction, particularly around the genital areas. For people with penises, that might be pulling on the foreskin. For people with vulvas, that might be vaginismus, where the vagina closes, it won't open to accept a penis or any other object that wants to go in there. Or you might have a type of female sexual dysfunction, which means that it's really painful when an object is in there. But lube reduces the friction, therefore the pain receptors aren't stimulated so much, therefore it's less painful. So lube, really good. Invest in some lube. It might be the speed of how you're taking it. For people with penises, for masturbation, if you rub too quickly, you might find your penis goes red. And that's caused by irritation, mostly because you're going too fast or potentially you're doing it too much. It's not a psychological problem, but it may be a medical problem in as far as you are getting a rash and therefore might need just to lay off a bit. But also foreplay. Foreplay is preparation for sex, any type of sex, not just penis and vagina sex, but any type of sexual play with partners or yourself. Foreplay isn't necessarily stimulation at all. It's the whole evening, anticipation. The more anticipation you have and the more you want something, the less likely it is that it's going to be painful and going to be a problem for you. But if none of those things work, then maybe you need to go and see your doctor or go to the sexual health clinic, because there may be something that they can help you with. There are treatments, there are ways that they can help you. So go and see them. And last but not least, is it normal for you to change your mind about sex? Absolutely. Consent can be withdrawn at any time and for any individual item of sex. If you don't want to go through with sex at all, then you can absolutely withdraw your consent for that. You can stop. You can say to your partner, no, get off, go away for a while, come back when you're ready, or don't come back at all. Or perhaps you are worried about certain aspects of sex. Any aspect of sex at all you can withdraw your consent without having to withdraw consent for all of sex. And it's perfectly reasonable, and it is perfectly fine and normal to do so. The trick is to keep communicating with your partner during sex. Doing things that you both want to do means that you have better sex. Isn't that what everybody wants? So I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You can do that just down below. Why don't you leave in the comments any more questions you have? Ask me whether you think things are normal, and I'll try to answer them. I make videos on sex education topics every single week, so don't forget to subscribe and click the bell just down there so you don't miss when I next upload. So, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.